First, Apple is being ridiculed for missing out on AI, but its strategy might actually be genius.
Then StarBucks has a new 4-minute rule to win your afternoon pick-me-up.
And Khaby became the first ever publicly traded TikToker.
Oh, Pump to Pod, 3 fantastic stories. Let's hit them, Jack. This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Friday, the real Friday, January 30th, and today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Welcome back to the funnest place in finance. We will make you the most interesting person at brunch this weekend. But first, Jack, you're wearing a suit today. Wow.
I know. I went full corporate because I'm actually on Wall Street today. I flew into New York City. I'm flying home later today.
We're seeing the full evolution. You started with a button down on Tuesday, a vest on Wednesday, and now what's next? Tuxedo on Saturday? I don't even know.
Well, dude, since there's snow on the ground, I'm wearing my Blundstones, so that's the only Vermont part of my outfit.
That is a Birkenstock term for the record. Jack, let's hit our 3 stories. For our first story, Apple is ridiculed by tech commentators for totally missing the AI boat.
But this week's Apple earnings reveal their real AI strategy. Let everyone else go broke building AI, and then Apple will just rent it for cheap.
Well, let's dive in T-Boy style, Jack. Yetis, yesterday, Apple announced earnings, and we noticed something funny about the CEO, Tim Cook, right, Jack?
Well, he had the opposite strategy of Elon Musk the day before.
Yeah, what was that, Jack?
Elon wants you to ignore Tesla's declining business of today and just focus on the future instead.
But Tim Cook of Apple wants you to ignore the future and think about their growing business of today.
Well, Apple today announced record revenues and record profits, and a record 2.5 billion Apple devices are connected right now.
Basically a third of the world. But there is one problem we should point out, Jack.
Apple remains MIA when it comes to AI. They're criticized for not building their own LLM and not even trying to.
Okay, Jack, I think right now we're ROA. Running out of acronyms. Besties, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, OpenAI, they are hyperscalers.
Apple is a hyper-failer.
Apple looks like they're bringing a BB gun to the AI arms race. Basically, they're sitting on the sidelines like it's a JV Jerry situation.
But Apple's AI strategy could actually be the best one. The market just doesn't realize it yet.
Yetis, herein lies the bull case for Apple AI.
It's letting everyone else go broke building large language models.
But then, when the dust settles, Apple will simply rent the best model for a way cheaper price.
Think about it, Yetis. The money these tech companies are spending to build AI models, it's like the most money spent on anything in human history.
Biggest splurge since Caesar. We're talking $135 billion this year spent by Meta. $125 billion spent this year by Amazon.
You could buy like 15 lifts for that much money. And they're just building data centers instead.
It's 19 lifts, Jack. Oh, and Microsoft, they're spending more than a year's worth of profit on AI right now. And OpenAI is spending an infinity year's worth of profit on AI.
Because they're unprofitable. Apple, on the other hand, they're spending almost nothing on investments in AI.
Nope. Instead, Apple's still just generating cash by selling like $1 billion of AirPods every day.
So Meta is making billions of profits, but then spending more than that on data centers. Apple's just not doing the second part.
Now, besties, this doesn't mean your iPhone is going to be absent of AI features, right, Jack?
No, it just means the AI features on your iPhone will be built by someone else, not Apple.
Like we've said before, Apple plays the tortoise to tech's hair. It's not a first mover, it's a second shaker.
But AI is different. This bet Apple's making is even bigger.
It's our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Apple?
Why build an entire AI factory when you can just rent AI instead?
Yetis, Apple has never manufactured its own phones. Foxconn does that for them in China.
It's the asset-light model that's been so successful for Apple. Airbnb, Robinhood, Uber, Nike, lots of different companies.
But hyperscalers are abandoning the asset-light model right now. Instead, they're splurging on data centers the size of entire cities.
But Apple believes you don't have to. They believe asset-light can work for AI too.
For example, this year, Apple will finally give us a Super Siri powered by AI. Powered by Google's Gemini AI.
From the consumer perspective, that's fine. You don't care who's powering it. As long as Siri is smart, you're going to be happy.
Basically, Apple can simply rent AI compute from American or Chinese LLMs at a super cheap price.
Now, there is a risk that Apple's wrong. They could end up with huge AI FOMO if Zuckerberg eventually hits AI gold.
But if AI is a bubble, then the hyperscalers like Zuck will have wasted billions.
While Apple will have wasted nothing.
So the bull case for Apple stock, it's actually a question.
Why build an AI factory when you can rent AI for way cheaper?
For our second story, Starbucks' CEO just hosted us and the whole investor community for their comeback event in New York City.
Now that growth has returned to Starbucks, their goal is to win the rest of your day. Their goal is to be your afternoon delight.
Besties, we're talking about Investor Day. A company invites shareholders and Wall Street analysts in a corporate ritual, kind of like a military parade.
But instead of tanks and planes, for Starbucks, it was espresso machines and green aprons.
Jack, take us through the in-person highlights of this Starbucks Investor Day.
The wining and dining was very good. They had free refills of iced blue matcha.
I didn't know that was physically possible.
How is it blue? Spirulina. That's how it's blue. Every female executive was wearing green pantsuits. Every male executive had a green blazer. If you're one of us, you'll wear green.
More coordinated than the U.S. Olympic team. And you know what, besties? Spirits at Starbucks are high.
They just announced 4% growth in the fourth quarter, which is a huge rebound from 7% shrinkage when Brian Niccol took over 18 months ago.
Brian Niccol, a.k.a. B. Nichols, the former Chipotle CEO, joined Starbucks 18 months ago, and at the time, the business had never been more decaffeinated. We called it the decaffeinated era.
But Brian Niccol said yesterday in New York City that his back to Starbucks plan is working. In fact, it's ahead of schedule.
The decaffeinated era is over. The stock's up 25% since the company announced Niccol was taking over the business.
Now, since T-Boy was there and we witnessed the full force of Starbucks' C-suite, we're going to translate the extremely corporate jargon that the executives told us T-Boy style.
We're going like Duolingo on the financials here. Jack, when Starbucks' team said they were doing portfolio reshaping, what does that mean?
That's a reference to closing 2,000 stores last year. But you know what? They're growing again, adding 600 per year starting now.
Starbucks actually has 5,000 sites already circled on the map for future expansion.
And I thought I had a Zillow problem.
Term number 2, unlocking throughput. What does that mean?
Throughput is the number of drinks that Starbucks can serve per hour.
Which leads to the next question, Jack. How is Starbucks going to jack up that number?
They're going to increase their throughput with new espresso systems that they made and only they can use that look like a Ferrari.
We're talking a V12 engine coffee machine that's making 8 shots of espresso in 27 seconds.
It's insane, and their lawyers patented the hell out of it.
But besties, Starbucks also needs to make the most of their existing 40,000 brick and mortar locations.
And that means they can't just be a morning destination for customers.
So this is what we found most fascinating. Starbucks has a 2026 New Year's resolution to own the 4 p.m. snack time.
To go from just an AM company to an AM and PM company.
Basically, target your hangry happy hour.
Starbucks actually said the word afternoon 13 times. I know, because I was counting, and I was hungry too.
And here's how it breaks down. Coffee is for your morning. You're already going there on your morning routine. But energy drinks pop in the afternoon. So Starbucks is adding energy drinks for the afternoon.
But they're also adding grilled cheeses and chicken protein pouches so that you have something to wash down.
The strategy, it's not just about market share in business. It's about timeshare. And the goal for Starbucks is to own your 4 p.m. matcha order.
But Brian Niccol also emphasized many times the one most important rule at Starbucks going forward. Every customer must have their drink served within 4 minutes.
And you know what? The Formula One speed espresso machine will help with faster orders, but so will AI.
That's right. AI is going to begin listening to all drive-through orders, and it will go into the machine. So the human doesn't have to type in your order. They can just start making your latte right away.
I'm sorry, Jack. I said iced hot half-calf double shot vanilla latte with the extra foam light on the ice, upside down, 2 cups of caramel, hold the cinnamon, in grand, and hold the straw, keep the lid.
Okay.
Did you get all that?
No, but my AI did.
I said decaf. I said decaf specifically. I need to speak to a manager. Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Starbucks?
May the mega trends always be in your favor.
Yetis. This Starbucks Investor Day was a masterclass in storytelling. And the overall story? The world needs a third place more than ever.
A third place. Not home, not work, something in between. Starbucks is doubling down on their third place origin, and they think the megatrends are in their favor.
The first megatrend? Push back on social media and screen time. That is good for in-person coffee shops.
Another megatrend? AI. it's good for in-person coffee shops because we crave real human interaction.
Sure, Starbucks is doing drive-through delivery, improving the app like everyone else, but the huge scale of physical coffee shops, that is their competitive advantage.
So Starbucks is spending $150,000 per location to upgrade the interior design with velvet chairs, leather couches, and commissioned artwork.
Jack, you even met the CEO, and he said that they're delivering on our 2026 business wish, the latte library.
I couldn't believe it. Starbucks is getting inspiration from libraries. They're adding books and board games at select locations, but we think that's going to go everywhere.
Chutes and ladders and lattes. Besties, this event was intended to convince Wall Street that Starbucks stock is worth more, and the storytelling helped.
The story was that the megatrends are in Starbucks' favor.
Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story before the weekend, Khaby, the biggest TikToker on earth, just sold his account, his brand, and himself for $1 billion.
Khaby just became the first ever publicly traded influencer stock.
Besties, during the pandemic, we know you watched Tiger King on Netflix, you zoomed into work, and you tested the burrito delivery limits of DoorDash.
If you were lucky, many people lost their jobs, including a 20-year-old who was working at an air filter factory in northern Italy.
His name, Khaby, born in Senegal, moved to Italy as a baby, and he ended up with no job, no prospects, and no chance.
But in 2020, during the pandemic, necessity was the mother of invention for him. So he posted videos on TikTok that were quite entertaining.
And the result? 5 years later, 160 million followers, the biggest following on all of TikTok. And now he's charging up to $1 million per sponsored post.
Huge numbers that would make Kris Jenner schwitz.
And here's the news. Khaby just sold his TikTok handle and his identity to a publicly traded company for $975 million.
He's a human unicorn. Now, we got to ask the question. Has this ever happened before that someone has sold basically their identity?
I mean, not really, Jack.
Martha Stewart Living was kind of Martha Stewart stock.
True. And BTS, the K-pop band, kind of has a stock that trades in Korea.
But those were both like business models that were sold. We're talking about one man here, an influencer, who's also now a stock that you can invest in.
So Jack and I got to sprinkle on some context. Jack, why did Khaby go viral in the very first place?
Well, he became universally known for not speaking.
Basically, his strategy, less is more. He realized if he didn't say anything in a TikTok video, it was understood in any language.
It's counterintuitive. Voiceless videos, that sounds like something that's boring, but it could reach a global audience because there was no language barriers.
Let's whip up an example. Here's Khaby's format. He takes someone else's video doing a complex life hack,
like fixing a broken faucet with just a spoon.
But then he adds a way easier solution, mocking that life hack with an exaggerated deadpan facial expression.
He's like, look how easy that was. And then he goes like this.
Exactly.
Check us out on YouTube if you don't know what the heck we're talking about.
As psychologists have pointed out, body language is universal. It is fundamentally human, the way someone moves their face.
That's how he built this giant audience. It transcends borders and ages. 360 million followers across the social platforms.
And besties, that audience is his one and only asset, bringing in $20 million a year in revenue, according to Forbes.
But now, Khaby is the Warren Buffett of the creator economy. Because the company that bought his TikTok account, his brand, his image, for nearly $1 billion, that company is publicly traded on NASDAQ.
Rich and Sparkle, a small Hong Kong company worth about $1 billion, no previous social media experience, but the stock jumped 250% on the deal.
And in a strongly worded press release, this company thinks that they can make $4 billion a year using Khaby's TikTok account and his name, image, and likeness.
Without him ever saying a word.
I gotta imagine it could be $8 billion if only he'd say, buy now.
So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddy Khaby?
This is the first ever influencer stock.
Yetis, Jack and I dove in T-Boy style to the deal details. This public stock, it has exclusive rights to Lame's brand for 36 months.
It includes his TikTok shop, his live stream, his video content, and all his endorsement deals.
In fact, in the filing, it said that Khaby will launch apparel, fragrances, beauty, probably ice cream, like any consumer packaged good, it's on the table.
They're basically going to turn his TikTok into Unilever with a built-in direct marketing channel those who watch his videos.
And boom, TikTok Shop will market all his products one tap away from the video.
Here's the wildest detail of all. AI LLM.
AI LLM.
They're going to create a digital version of Khaby LLM that they can put in any videos infinitely.
A version of him to scale. Because, like a human being can only produce so many videos in one day, as we know, Jack.
But Khaby LLM's digital twin will be able to work 24/7 with no bathroom breaks, no pay, like a nonstop QVC channel on his TikTok account.
But the risk here, Yetis, well, Khaby's growth has slowed on TikTok. His following actually peaked 2 years ago.
And if his TikTok account becomes a nonstop sales pitch of like air fryers, that could cause you to unsubscribe.
But for now, think of those 360 million followers as potential customers inside the retail store of Khaby LLM.
And since Rich and Sparkle is publicly traded, you can actually get in on this.
Besties, this is the first ever influencer stock. Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for the real Friday?
Starbucks Investor Day celebrated a return to growth and a NASA-engineered espresso machine that doubles the brewing speed.
But their 2026 New Year's resolution, own your 4 p.m. energy dip with the afternoon delight.
For our second story, Khaby LLM sold his entire influencer business and his entire identity to a publicly traded company.
Now got a digital twin. This is the first ever influencer stock.
And our third and final story, Apple stock rose yesterday on quote-unquote staggering iPhone profits that they won't spend on data centers.
It's the Apple method. Why build an entire AI factory when you can just rent AI instead?
That's the Apple bull case. But besties, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, software has never been softer because the whole software industry dropping right now.
Microsoft announced earnings this week, and the stock fell 11% afterwards.
As a result, a whole bunch of other software stocks plummeted to worst day in ever.
But it's been a really bad few months, because now that AI can code, AI can create software too. Second, it was a mixed day for Waymo yesterday. First, they announced you can finally take a Waymo robotaxi to the San Francisco airport.
But then they also announced a Waymo sadly hit a kid in Santa Monica, Los Angeles.
Good news, the kid is okay. He stood up and walked away. The Waymo hit the brakes on time.
And we should also point out, so far, the data still shows that robotaxis are safer than human drivers.
And finally, Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Chiefs, just announced his newest investment. Sleep Number Mattress.
The sleeping mattress stock jumped 5% on word the football star is officially on the cap table.
Yeah, he bought nearly 5% of this publicly traded mattress company because he says his mattress is the love of his life.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Taylor, but this guy loves his queen size.
Strategically timed during Super Bowl week, by the way.
Drop us a comment, though, if you want this to be a story for the pod. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by legendary Yeti Brett Sutter from lovely Denver, Colorado.
McLaren. It's one of the most famous and expensive and fastest sports cars ever.
Jack, I'm whipping out the whiteboard here. We're looking at $100,000 for the cheapest one, like over $1 million for the most expensive.
I've never actually looked at the logo, but now that I'm looking at it, Nick, is that a bird?
Is that a kiwi bird?
Why does a British car company have a New Zealand native famous bird as their logo?
Not just any bird. A kiwi bird is a flightless bird. It can't even fly. It stumbles.
The reason is that the founder and racer Bruce McLaren grew up in New Zealand.
And he also chose the color of McLaren to be orange because of the papaya fruit. And why is that, Jack?
So in Formula One, the McLaren team is orange, the color of New Zealand's favorite fruit.
Papayas and kiwis, that's what New Zealand does. Yetis, you are looking fantastic to end the week. And Jack, celebrate the wins, hanging out with the Starbucks CEO today. There you go, man.
I know. I hope we get to interview him someday in the future.
Besties, it is 5-star Fridays, though. So if you haven't yet, drop down to give us a 5-star rating and review. We love reading them, and they really do help us grow the show.
Have a phenomenal weekend. Nick and I will see you Monday.
Can't wait. And before we go, happy birthday to legendary Yeti and maestro of managers, Mike Mooney of the T-Boy Pod.
And happy birthday to legendary Yeti, Nicholas Cicero.
And Ken Say, happy birthday down in Lake Worth, Florida. Enjoy that 53rd.
Happy 30th birthday to Elizabeth in New York City. We know you're scared, but but you're going to have a great weekend.
And Joe Bideman down in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is now a member of a board and a B-Day boy.
Happy 12th birthday to Cassie Ariel in Marietta, Georgia, who's worth more than an entire lift.
And Jeremy Alex Lay from North York, Ontario has got the best birthday yet and the best poke restaurant in Canada, Poke Box. If you know, you know.
And happy birthday to Caroline Buckheit in Tampa, Florida.
And Christian Calderon enjoyed the new job in San Diego. Congrats on the win.
Happy 30th birthday to Dom Aiello in New Rochelle, who's also celebrating by running 30 miles.
And congratulations to Riley Rowe, who won a trivia game down in Jacksonville with an answer that he got from this podcast.
And congratulations to the entire Crew Car Wash team, who was just named the #1 place to work in America after NVIDIA, according to Glassdoor.
And Tara Borisov is celebrating 100 days of kindergarten. Congrats in Antelope, California. Bring that to show and tell. You win.
And happy birthday to Robert George, who also has a new job in Pittsburgh.
Oh, you know what he asked for his birthday, right, Jack? He wants a Cookie Crisp and a Not Possible.
Cookie Crisp.
Not possible.
It is possible.
Celebrate the win.
This is Jack. I own stock of Amazon and Netflix. Nick owns stock of Nike, and we both own stock of Apple, Robinhood, and Airbnb.